welcome to Trend Alert. What do your morning coffee, your TV, and the next tech unicorn have in common? They're all being reshaped by AI. Let's connect the dots.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting through some of the noise around AI. We're looking at how it's not just some future headline anymore. It's actually, reshaping things right now. Things like how your morning coffee gets made or the tech showing up in your living room. We're talking, of course, about artificial intelligence. So our mission today, we're going deep on 7 key stories from the last month. Stories that really signal where AI might be heading. We'll unpack everything from operational breakthroughs to some pretty serious ethical wake-up calls. And we'll try and connect it back to what it means for you, whether you're leading a team, working day to day, or just curious about all this change.
Yeah, and what's really striking when you look at these stories together is just the speed, right? How fast AI is moving. And you see these two sort of parallel tracks emerging almost instantly. On one hand, there's this incredible power for innovation, for efficiency, stuff we couldn't really do before. But running right alongside that is this huge sense of responsibility. Yeah. The ethics of it all. How do we handle this power? We'll try and connect those dots for you today because they're definitely intertwined and sometimes, well, they're in tension.
Okay, let's unpack that. Maybe starting with something familiar. Starbucks. Most people know Starbucks, right? Imagine walking in and AI's already working in the background before you even order. It's kind of a quiet efficiency boost. What they're doing is rolling out this AI-powered inventory system across over 11,000 stores in North America. And it's not just basic scanning. They're using computer vision, augmented reality, AR, and 3D spatial intelligence. Oh. Pretty sophisticated stuff. And the impact, baristas can just scan the shelves and the AI does the count. And get this, it does it 8 times more often than they used to manually.
Right. 8 times. That's a huge jump.
It really is. Think about the accuracy, the time saved.
Exactly. And what's really insightful here, I think, isn't just, counting coffee beans faster. It's how AI starts to subtly change jobs. By taking over those repetitive backroom tasks, the boring stuff, it actually frees up the frontline staff. They can spend more time focusing on the customers, on that experience.
So their job shifts a bit.
Yeah, exactly. From stock taker to maybe experience creator.
Yeah.
And beyond that, you mentioned the supply chain. It makes it much more reliable. Fewer stockouts mean things run smoother for everyone, including you, the customer. It's a really good example of AI enhancing everyday services in a way you might not even notice directly.
Okay, so that's how a giant like Starbucks uses AI to get more efficient. But what about the other side of the coin, the small guys, the disruptors? If AI helps the big players streamline, what's it doing for these super lean, ambitious startups? Because this is where it gets really interesting, I think. We're seeing this new wave of what people are calling AI native startups, and they're proving you don't need a massive team to have a huge impact anymore. I mean, some are run by just one person or maybe a tiny handful of engineers, but they're scaling like crazy, aiming for billion-dollar valuations.
It's kind of mind-blowing. And this phenomenon, it really rewrites the basic economics of starting a business.
Yeah.
These lean unicorns, as you call them, hitting huge valuations with tiny teams, they show how readily available computing power and these sophisticated pre-trained AI models can basically replace layers of staff, layers of traditional bureaucracy. It's exciting, definitely. But let's be honest, it's also kind of unsettling. It lowers the bar for entry, changes capital needs, and it forces you to ask, well, what happens when a 2-person startup can genuinely compete with, maybe even beat, an entire department at a multinational? Not just on speed, but on cost.
Yeah.
The whole future of work, market dynamics. It's all being redrafted right now in real time.
That is a staggering thought. But okay, if these teams are so small and lean, does that raise other questions?
Yeah.
What about quality control or security? With so few people involved, is there a hidden risk there? Maybe something that bigger companies with more checks and balances are better at handling.
That's a really important point, a critical question, actually. Because while AI lets these small teams move incredibly fast, it puts enormous pressure on the robustness of their models and, crucially, on their internal ethical frameworks. The risk isn't just a bug in the code, it's in the oversight, or maybe the lack of it. So it really pushes founders to think about responsible AI from day one. You can't just bolt it on later when you're moving that fast.
Yeah.
And this pressure, this speed, it leads us to think about how even the biggest players are trying to keep up.
Exactly. Which brings us to the next point. Moving from, operations and these nimble startups, let's talk big tech. Some household names doing something, well, unexpected. There are reports, pretty strong ones, that Apple is talking to Google about putting Gemini, Google's big AI model, into Siri. If that happens,
Wow.
it could finally make Siri, which, let's face it, has felt like the weakest assistant for years.
Underwhelming, yeah.
Actually useful. Imagine Siri being genuinely helpful for complex stuff.
This potential deal, if it happens, it really signals a major shift. It blurs the lines between these fierce rivals in a way we don't often see. Apple gets a smarter, more context-aware Siri. Huge upgrade for their users, for their ecosystem. And Google, they potentially get Gemini onto hundreds of millions of iPhones. Massive reach.
So for us, the users.
For you, yeah, it could finally mean a truly useful Siri. But the bigger industry point is maybe even more interesting. It shows that even giants like Apple might need to partner up, because the pace of AI innovation right now might just be outstripping what even they can do entirely in-house. It's kind of a concession to how fast this field is moving.
So AI is forcing even bitter rivals to think about collaborating. That's a big deal.
It really is.
But AI isn't just staying on our phones or computers, is it? It sounds like it's about to get much closer, like right into our living rooms, which that feels like a big step, maybe even a leap, especially thinking about privacy.
It absolutely is a big step, and privacy is definitely a key concern there. Because Samsung just announced their 2025 TVs and monitors, they'll have Microsoft Copilot built right in.
Built in?
Yeah, not an app you download, but integrated. So your TV isn't just a screen anymore, it's becoming an AI assistant hub.
So picture this. You're on the couch watching something, and you just ask your TV, hey, summarize that meeting I missed, or draft an email to Sarah, or, what's the weather tomorrow? All without picking up your phone or laptop. It makes the TV this active, intelligent thing in the room.
And the real takeaway there, I think, is the intention. It's about making AI truly ubiquitous, part of the furniture almost. Just like the smartphone made mobile computing totally essential, embedding Copilot in TVs aims to make AI interaction feel as natural as, changing the channel.
Convenient, sure.
Hugely convenient, no doubt. But as he said, it's also a massive test of trust, isn't it? How ready are people, how ready are you to have AI integrated into these really personal spaces in your home? It's not just a tool on your device anymore, it's an ever-present intelligence in your living room. And that brings up huge questions about data, privacy, personal boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so for all this AI, the assistants, the inventory systems, everything, there's this huge engine running underneath it all, right? The infrastructure. And guess who's jumping in to provide some of that power? It's not just the usual tech giants.
No, this is fascinating.
It turns out former crypto miners, companies like Iron and Cypher, they're pivoting hard into AI.
Right. Because they already have the key ingredients from crypto mining.
Exactly. They've got access to relatively cheap power. They've got these massive server farms already built.
Yeah, the data centers are there.
And now they're just retooling them, filling them up with thousands of GPUs, those specialized chips AI needs.
Graphics processing units. Yeah, this is a really powerful signal about how the AI boom is just completely reshaping infrastructure economics globally. GPUs are basically the horsepower for AI. They handle those complex calculations really well. And what we're seeing is that energy and computing power, they're kind of becoming the new oil.
The new oil, wow.
Yeah. Industries like crypto mining, which were huge just recently, are now chasing this massive demand for AI processing. It's a total reallocation of resources. And it tells you who the winners might be in this new landscape. Whoever can deliver reliable power, cooling, and critically, those high-end GPUs at a massive scale. It's like a new gold rush, but for compute.
A compute gold rush. Okay, so that's the hardware side, the infrastructure shift. But it's not just about the machines, right? It's also about us, the people, the human operating system, maybe.
Huh? I like that, the human OS.
How do we actually prepare people for a world that's increasingly shaped by AI? Because you can have all the GPUs in the world, but if people don't understand it.
Precisely. You need the steering wheel, not just the horsepower. And on that front, Anthropic, another big name in AI, they've launched these AI fluency programs for educators, for students, for whole institutions. And they've developed them with heavy hitters like Stanford and the London School of Economics.
Okay, fluency programs. What does that actually mean, though? What are they teaching beyond just, here's how to use a chatbot?
That's the critical part. It's not just about basic usage.
Are they getting into, like, ethical prompting, understanding the biases, critically looking at the output?
Exactly that. It's designed to build deeper skills. Understanding capabilities, yes, but also the limitations. How to prompt effectively, sure, but also how to critically evaluate what the AI gives you back. And, crucially, understanding the ethical implications of using it. It's about making AI literacy as fundamental as, reading, writing, basic math.
Ah, foundational.
That's the goal. Because by shaping how the next generation understands and uses AI, you're not just influencing future jobs, you're influencing how responsibly this incredibly powerful tech gets woven into society.
Oh.
And that. Well, that brings us squarely back to that second track we talked about, the critical track of responsibility.
Right. And this is where things get more difficult, more challenging, because as AI gets more powerful, more pervasive, the ethical issues, the responsibility gap, it's becoming incredibly clear. We saw reports recently, pretty disturbing ones, about chatbots having unsafe conversations with teenagers. That led Meta to quickly introduce new safeguards, trying to block discussions on sensitive topics like romance or self-harm.
A reactive measure, but necessary.
And at the same time, you have OpenAI facing lawsuits. Families claiming that ChatGPT actually played a role in encouraging harmful behaviors, tragically even leading to suicide in some alleged cases. These aren't abstract risks or legal theories. They're heartbreaking realities. And it really forces the question, are we building these things with enough care, enough foresight for the most vulnerable people?
It absolutely does. These tragic situations compel us to ask, what's the real human cost of moving so fast? Of scaling without maybe having all the safeguards nailed down first. These risks, as you said, they're not hypothetical anymore. They affect real people, real lives.
Yeah.
And as AI gets deeper into our daily interactions, the companies building it have to look beyond just growth and speed.
It seems urgent.
It is urgent. There's a need for much stronger governance, for ethical design principles baked in from the start, not added as an afterthought. Proactive safeguards. Ultimately, the trust of society, your trust, hinges on how well these huge responsibilities are actually met by the creators and deployers of AI.
So, wrapping this all up, what's the big picture? We've gone from Starbucks optimizing inventory
The efficiency track?
to tiny startups becoming unicorns.
Yeah.
Apple and Google maybe teaming up. Samsung putting AI in your TV.
The power and pervasiveness track.
And then these really critical safety and ethical challenges like with Meta and OpenAI. It really feels like AI is speeding down these two parallel tracks simultaneously.
Absolutely. One track is just bursting with power, innovation potential. The other is heavy with profound responsibility, ethical dilemmas, potential harms.
Yeah.
And zooming out, I think the takeaway for all of us listening is pretty clear. Building a future with AI isn't just about chasing the next innovation or being the fastest. It's just as much, maybe even more, about building robust governance, thinking deeply about ethics, and actively preparing people, all people, to navigate this new world safely and effectively.
To thrive in it, hopefully.
Hopefully thrive, yes.
Yeah.
And just stay safe. Because AI is moving faster than pretty much any technology we've dealt with before. The question isn't really if we adopt it anymore, it's how. How responsibly, how thoughtfully, and maybe how quickly can we adapt to make sure these powerful tools actually serve humanity well.
That really leaves us with something important for you, the listener, to think about. In a world where AI is becoming as basic as reading, potentially, but also carries these huge ethical weights and risks, what does navigating this landscape actually mean for you? How do you prepare yourself? How do you harness the potential but stay mindful of the challenges? And maybe, how do you hold the builders accountable? Lots to think about. We encourage you to keep exploring, stay curious, and definitely keep asking those big, important questions.